Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into 3 headlines out of the Indian state of Odisha that, on the surface, seem to have nothing to do with each other. We're talking a cultural conference, a women's empowerment program, and an environmental campaign. But what if they aren't separate at all? What if they're actually puzzle pieces that, when you put them together, reveal a single powerful vision for the future?
So our source for this is a briefing from Trilingo News, and they kick things off with this. Trilingo News ku swagata. As you can see, it means welcome to Trilingo News. Now, this one source reported on 3 very different events, so let's unpack them.
So right off the bat, the source lays out these 3, seemingly random announcements. You've got a conference about language, a new program for women, and then a campaign to deal with human-elephant conflict. You know, on their own, they each sound like good news, but they don't exactly scream connected. Or do they? And that right there, that's the core question we're tackling today. Are these just a few positive headlines that happen to pop up at the same time, or are we actually seeing the blueprint of a larger, more intentional strategy at play here? To figure it out, we've got to look at each piece of the puzzle individually. Okay, let's start with the first pillar, culture. The source reports on a major national event that's all about celebrating heritage and language.
The event is called Pashyotsav, and at its core, it's a national conference dedicated to celebrating language. This tells you right away that the state isn't just, passively preserving its culture. Nope. It's actively putting it on a national stage for everyone to see.
And listen, this isn't some small affair. We're talking about a 3-day national event, important enough that it's being inaugurated by the state's governor. That is a serious investment in cultural heritage. So Pillar 1, culture, is clearly a major priority.
Now for the second pillar, society. You see, a strong state doesn't just celebrate its past, it has to invest in the people building its future. And that brings us to this really fascinating new initiative called Shakti Appa. The name itself is incredibly powerful. Shakti means power, and Appa is a term for an elder sister. So you put it together, and the program is literally called Power Sister, a title that just immediately suggests strength, guidance, and community. And here's where the ambition of this plan really hits home. The goal is to have Power Sisters in all 30 districts of Odisha. Just take a moment to think about that. This isn't a small pilot project. It's a massive, statewide network designed for grassroots social empowerment, reaching women in every single part of the state. The plan is so straightforward, it's brilliant. Appoint these community leaders, deploy them statewide, and empower them to uplift other women. It's a really clear strategy for strengthening the social fabric from the ground up.
So we've seen these big investments in cultural heritage and social empowerment. The third and final pillar is the environment. Because a truly thriving state has to find a way to live in harmony with its natural world, and that's often way easier said than done.
So in one district, the challenge is a classic one. You've got this conflict between humans and elephants. On one side, you have communities that need space to grow and farm, and on the other, you have elephants that need space for their natural habitat. So how in the world do you find a balance?
Well, the solution here is targeted and collaborative. The Forest Department is working with local authorities to launch an awareness campaign. Now, this signals a real shift in strategy. They're moving away from simply managing conflict after it happens and toward proactively teaching coexistence.
All right, so we have our 3 pillars: a major cultural conference, a statewide women's empowerment program, and a proactive environmental campaign. Let's put these puzzle pieces together now and see what picture emerges.
And this is where it gets really interesting. What if these aren't just 3 random good deeds? What if they're the 3 core pillars of a single balanced development strategy? A vision for what a healthy, modern state can be.
It's a strategy of balance. So instead of prioritizing just one area, like economic growth, at the expense of others, this approach gives equal weight to culture, to society, and to the environment. The idea is that progress in one area actually reinforces and strengthens the others. So what does this all mean? Well, by addressing these 3 areas all at once, Odisha really appears to be building a more resilient and holistic future. One where growth isn't just measured in money, but in cultural strength, social well-being, and environmental harmony. So these 3 stories give us this fascinating snapshot of a different way of thinking about progress. And it leaves us with a big question to chew on. What new possibilities emerge when a society decides to invest in its culture, its people, and its environment all at the same time? It's a powerful model for development and one that's definitely worth watching.